Welcome to the Peach Pod, hosted by Protagonist Apparel, where we are unfiltered, unstoppable, and unapologetic. My name is Lexi Floor. I'm here with
Amanda Congialdi,
and we're here to talk about all things women's tackle football. Amanda is my best football friend, so whenever we're on the field together, it's just chemistry. We still talk, even though we play on different teams. We used to play on the DC Divas together, and now I play for the Washington Prodigy. But we're still best buds.
She's going into year 2. She's going into year 2. I'm proud of her, though. I'm proud of her. She's still doing Lexi Floor things. So, Lexi, what year is this for you? You're going into what year?
I'm going into year 10, actually. So, I've been doing tackle football for an entire decade.
That's wild.
And I've been through a lot. I played for 3 different leagues, the IWFL, WFA, and the WNFC now.
True.
So I know a little bit about leagues and a little bit about what they can offer and what they can do for women in football. So
I've played for 2 leagues. IWFL, which is extinct now, WFA since 2016. Actually, at this point, I've played longer in the WFA than the IWFL. First 5 years, IWFL with the Philadelphia Phantoms. I played quarterback. And out of my 14, 15 seasons, 2 years, I did not play quarterback, actually. My first year in Philly, I played running back my first year with the Divas. I played receiver and DB and returner and everywhere else, and it was super fun. But now we're back on the QB train. We've been on that for a while. But so we got a WFA representative, WNFC representative, right? We got an all-pro here. So there's always a burning question, right? And we've had conversations, now that she's experienced both leagues, and I'm like, give me the tea on the WNFC. I'm just like, give me a little bit of that. So
we are here on this podcast to only answer burning questions, and this is the number one that I've been asked in the last 2 years, ever since I started playing for the WNFC. And that question is, what league do I like better or is best?
I think what league is best. What league do you think is? Well, we'll talk about both. What league do you like better?
There are strengths of both. So I just want to put that out there. I'm not a hater.
Be honest. Be honest. You're not hating. You just gotta be honest.
But I do think that for me personally, as a player, that the WNFC works best for me. And I do want to say that I feel like as a wide receiver, and maybe different positions are different, but there is more competition for wide receivers in the WNFC. So if you really want to test your skills, to me, I would say try out the WNFC, because then you can really gauge yourself nationally, in my opinion.
Naturally, I expect that answer. Naturally, you expect my answers to be WFA. I don't have experience in WNFC, of course, but first, the marketing in the WNFC is top tier, right? The marketing is top tier. That gets an A++ for me. It will always get the A++ over the WFA. Let's be honest. I can't get down with the 3-point conversion. I can't get down with the 9-point pick 9. It's just, to me, it doesn't. It's just getting out of hand. First, it was a 9-point conversion, or it's pick 9. I'm just like, whoa, that's wild. And then it's like a 3-point conversion. I'm just like, that's even more wild, because we're supposed to be professional, right? Not to say everything has to be mimicked like it is in the NFL, but at least the scoring format should be the same.
I mean, I don't disagree with rewarding the defense. So I don't mind that there's a pick 9.
You don't even play defense.
I'm just saying that, like, even though I don't play defense, like, I don't mind, them scoring some points. I'm here to win, and obviously the defense for the Prodigy is top tier. We always have some kind of pick. I don't think that we are here to mimic men. I think we need to get away from thinking that the NFL is the number one top tier thing. I think that we're here to do what women do best, and we're here to take a sport that was originally crafted for men, and now we're having women play it. So what makes the most sense? I can say that I have a lot of feelings towards things that were specifically designed for a specific demographic, and then we're trying to get someone else to fit in that mold. So it makes the most sense to try to craft that thing to fit the people who are playing it. So if pick 9 is something that's going to fit best for women, then I'm all for that.
I don't know why you think it fits best. It's giving XFL. It's giving Spring Football League. It's giving flag. It's giving not professional at the highest level.
And we're all entitled to
We
our
are.
own
I'm just saying,
opinions.
in my humble opinion, that's what it gives. And when people ask me, because I've, obviously I haven't played in the WNFC, but I knows insight on it. Which is the more competitive league, and you can tune in. I mean, I'd say WFA. And I don't say things and talk out my butthole. I'm saying things with facts. And when you look at this, is no offense to anybody who plays in the WNFC. I have so many friends. I have so many dogs playing the WNFC. It's not about there not being talent there. There's talent for days. Prodigy have talent for days, right? So, but when you take the leagues side by side and you look at the statistics, we just take last year, for example. The league leader in every WNFC category would be 8th in our league or lower.
I know what you're saying, and I know that through stats.
No. Hold on.
You can try to gauge where people would fit.
Wait.
But
I'm not done my thought process.
They don't have the same competitors. If they're not actually competing against the same people, it's hard to say that those stats actually stack up. So
the argument that some people have made was, well, like, for example, I didn't make the stats, but the quarterback play in the WNFC, nobody exceeds like a 65 rating, right? Which is, that's below standard. Really, standard is 90 quarterback rating. And I look at quarterbacks. I'm a quarterback, so naturally I'm gonna go, all right, how are quarterbacks playing there? The league leader as a receiver in the league had 288 yards. It would be like 13th in our league, right? And that was a running back, and so, like, to me that is more alarming. And so the defense is, well, there are better defenses in the WNFC. Well, then my rebuttal is, how come defenders aren't blowing up the defensive stat sheet? If you look on the defensive side of the ball, the interceptions aren't nearly what they are in the WFA. The tackles aren't where they are in the WFA, like the tackle volume, the sacks, all that stuff. The WFA they still fill up the stat sheet in terms of, the production from an individual player standpoint. So it's like, if the defenses were that much better, you would see, in my opinion, the stat sheet be blown up.
I knew that you were going to bring stats into this, but I don't.
I mean,
it's hard to you know what? It's hard to tell if a team would beat another team unless you play it. I think that this calls for the DC Divas to play the Washington Prodigy. The only way to be able to tell if we could stack up is if we play the game.
You're right.
Then we'd be able to tell,
I agree.
if those stats actually hold some weight. I think that the DBs overall, and this is giving major props to all of you, and so see you on the field, I guess, later. But
lock her down.
But
show me.
I have, going up in the air, I feel like they're more aggressive, they're faster, they're quicker, and they have a little bit better technique, because I've had some DBs do like a, the outside hand, like where they're playing zone.
Mm-hmm.
So they cross behind you. I've had someone do that, and I haven't had anybody really do that technique well and keep up with me, and I've had that done last year in the WNFC. So I don't know. I mean, in my perspective, there's just better trained athletes in the WNFC. So,
well, I haven't played in the WNFC, but I'm a fan of women's football, and I have watched games in the WNFC, specifically with the Prodigy, because my friend here plays on there. And I wasn't impressed. I mean, the only, when I think about seeing some of the defenses and just the technique or the alignment, the pre-snap alignment, when somebody's playing 10 yards back and they immediately retreat at the snap of the ball, to me, I'm eating just this little hitch route up the field. And to me, they don't come off discipline. But hey, I have a quarterback perspective. You have one side of the field perspective. I have a perspective of an entire defense. So, like, maybe I'm looking at it from an entirety standpoint, and you're looking at it from a one-on-one matchup standpoint.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have any other perspective. I mean, obviously, I think that I get to watch our defense play when I'm on the sideline, but usually I'm talking about the offensive scheme. So you may see more of the field.
I do see more than
But
I have to.
I
don't have a
still
choice.
stand by what I said.
So naturally, I think the WFA is a more Premier League. Lexi is going to side with the WNFC. It is what it is. It's a very controversial question.
It is.
We're going to get more controversial. I want to know who your top 5 teams in women's football is in any league. And I want you to put in order. We'll start from 5. My top 5 teams, if I'm going to go in order, I'll go 1 to 5.
Okay.
My top 5 teams in women's football. And this is very controversial question, and this isn't to make anybody butt hurt. These are my rankings, not yours, and you can always comment on it, what your rankings are. My rankings is, if I were to choose who the best team in women's football is, I would probably, at this point, have to go with St. Louis Slam, the WFA, because they do have a legitimate defense. They have legitimate offense. They have a super elusive running back with Jada Humphrey. And they have good receivers, like really solid hand receivers. 2 is Mississippi. 3 is Texas. 4 is DC. 5 is Pittsburgh. They're my rankings, not yours. But I would like to hear what your rankings are. So what would your rankings be? Because we still have other really good teams. We have Minnesota. You have the Prodigy. And when I say DC, I meant the Divas, not the Prodigy. Clear that one up. You still got the Prodigy. You still have Kansas City. I think Kansas City is going to be an up-and-coming team. I really think they're about to be a force. Some of the Boston players went over there to play with them.
But you don't know yet. So you can't say that that's your projection.
No, my projection is I think they're going to be super competitive. You have San Diego, who's still a competitive team. But I know that Kansas City got a lot better in the offseason. So hope you guys did too, because they're coming.
Wait, Kansas City Glory?
Kansas City is going to be they're going to be my sleeper pick to be competitive in the WNFC. And I'm actually going to make a point to watch more WNFC games, so I'm not just talking to my butt. And I can analyze and observe the teams.
Okay, this is what I'm going to say. Number 5, coming up at number 5 is the Texas Elite. I think that
I didn't say it. She
had a small fall from grace. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I think that there's ebb and flows in teams, and I just think that this might be an ebb for their team. You know, there's building years. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? I think that Kansas City is going to be number 4. They're really good, but this year, and I'm sure that they've gotten some more talent, and I know who's on their team. You guys are stacked, but I think that this year is going to be good for them, but they're still coming in at number 4. And then number 3, I'm just going to split that with DC and Pitt, because the passion is, from the time that I've been playing in the WFA, they have gotten so much better. And I even have my favorite wide receivers jersey, Jana. Shout out to Jana.
Shout out to Jana.
It was really fun playing in Team USA with her. But it's going to be a battle this year between you guys. They've just gotten so much better. Their team is just really gelled. They have such a great culture. If I lived in Pittsburgh, I would definitely play for them. But I'm going to split you guys with number 3. I think that you guys...
That's okay.
You guys both sit at number 3 in my book. And then number 2 is Mississippi. I think that they're crushing this. But the number 1 sleeper in the entire WNFC, maybe all of women's tackle football. What?
No, this is all of women's football.
Yeah, all of women's football is the Prodigy. I think that we have made a massive change this year. We have done so many things to engage our culture and change our offense, and I just think that this year's we have so much talent. We're freaking stacked.
Can you not speak from a bias standpoint though? Can I really get so you're gonna put the Prodigy, is no offense to the Prodigy, in all of women's football? You didn't even put St. Louis in there.
I was going to, and then there's only 5, so I had to even
St.
split
Louis.
number 3.
I didn't disrespect you, St. Louis. The disrespect.
Thanks. I mean, St. Louis might be up in there.
Okay.
But if I had, I mean, top 5, I don't know. There's a lot of really great teams. If we
They
all
should
played in
replace-
one
they
league,
should
we
re-
would
they
all
should
know.
replace number 1.
Wow. You think they're number 1?
Yeah, they were number 1 on my
Over.
list.
Oh,
They
okay.
should replace number 1 on your list too. Then I would more so agree with the list.
I just think that the Prodigy, people are sleeping on us this year. I think that we have a lot to prove. We have a lot to, of expectations. I feel like
You're right. You do
Last
have
year
high
wasn't-
expectations.
last year wasn't like the best look for us, but we learned a lot.
You got high expectations.
We've made a lot.
Shout out to the
Segue.
DMV because you guys are able to recruit a lot of flag players in the DMV, and flag super. If you don't know, flag is so popular and competitive in DC. It's ridiculous, and half of the players who have come to the Divas and the Prodigy are players who are elite flag players first, and they come join. So I know you guys have a couple of those.
Yeah, I mean,
this
that's where
year.
it starts. I mean, when you come from flag, I always say that flag is kind of like what we do on the off season, just because tackle football is real football. And I know I'm biased, but if you start in flag, you have such a foundation before you start playing tackle. But once you get hit, I mean, if you're a flag player or a tackle player,
Facts.
So you get hit real hard for the first time and you get up and you don't know where you are, then you'll know if you're a flag player or not. But I mean, flag, you still have to do like the same basic techniques. You have to track the ball, you have to run a route. So if you're good at flag and you are okay getting the shit knocked out of you, there's a good chance that you could probably play tackle football. But not everybody is like that. I'd say there's more flag players than tackle football players. So
That reminded me, my first year playing tackle football, I just turned 19, and I was playing other positions. I was playing kick return, punt return. I was a gunner. I was all this. My first year, my welcome to women's football was I was a gunner on punt return or punt, and my parents, my dad, my brother never let me live this down because on film, I'm on the left sideline, I'm running, and one of the punt return specialists, not specialists, but one of the players on the other team, as I'm running and I'm thinking I have a free lane, I get popped, and the way I fly in the air for a few seconds before I hit the ground was was comical. And that was my welcome. And this was against the Carolina, the Carolina Phoenix at the time. And they were a really good top team at that point. That was 2011. But welcome to the league. Welcome to tackle football. I'm running. I'm thinking I have a free shot. Then I get popped out of bounds. And I'm just like, it's almost like you go to heaven and you come back. So
that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
You just kind of sit there for a second and you just like make sure that you're okay. Everything's
pretty much
still in place, and then
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah, there have been a couple times where, I mean, you have to know that if you're a wide receiver, you got to trust where your quarterback is going to place the ball, because there have been a couple times where I've caught something and then been hit immediately, and I'm like, God damn it, Amanda! Like, good thing you placed that exactly where that was, or else I would have been. I mean, I did get lit up, but I still held on to the ball, and if it was like 1 inch to the left or the right, I would have not been able to.
Good thing it wasn't. Good thing it was perfect where it was. So you've accomplished a lot in your career. You've been an All-Pro. You've been MVP. You've been a lot of things, right? Who has been the most influential person, whether that be player or coach, in your career?
There have been a lot of people throughout my career, and so it's hard to choose just one. There have been even just moments where I'm coached by someone where it changed how I did something in my career forever. So there were a couple times when I was coached from someone from another team, in like the Hall of Fame game, or like a couple, All-Pro or, All American.
But that's like a one-off, right? But like, who has been the biggest influencer? Like, who's really helped shape your career, player or coach?
Yeah, I am really motivated by people who think that I can't do something. So if I'm going to say the number one motivation, and I know it's supposed to be inspirational, but the number one thing that lit an enormous fire underneath me was when I was I'm gonna catch so much shit for this, was when I was playing for Utah and Utah Falcons. I played for them for 3 years before I moved to the East Coast to play for the DC Divas. And the reason why I moved was because I was dating someone on the team, and we broke up, and the coach at the time said, you know, like, I really value you as a wide receiver. I don't want, you know, things to be bad for you on this team. So would it help if this person didn't come back? And I was like, yeah, if this person didn't come back, like, it would be great for me. So I can't believe I'm telling this story, but he like, I don't know if he didn't promise me, but he made it seem like he was okay with me playing on the team. Like, he valued me. And I felt like there was like an unwritten sense, or, you know, we understood, right? Like, I was kind of put through hell with that relationship, and I wasn't going to play another year on that team feeling how I felt. So then she came back, and he didn't even blink an eye and was immediately like, yes, you can come back and play on the team. Like, absolutely. So I had this long conversation with him, and I was like, you know, I don't know if that's like the best for me. I probably am not going to play. And then I mean, this had also been a simultaneous conversation of like, I want to add more passing plays to the book because we only had like a couple routes. The Utah Falcons is a rugby team. They're
not a rugby.
They do the triple option very well. I think that in my opinion, if you are only doing the triple option for the most part, you don't trust your quarterbacks and you don't really trust your wide receivers. So I wanted to gain this trust, and I thought I had been inducted into the Hall of Fame in Vegas, and I was doing really well in my career. And I just figured that if I was doing very well, and I was, you know, the female pro athlete of the year for Utah that year, and I was just like, you know, things are going really well. I'm, you know, why can't we put more passing plays into the book, you know, into our playbook? And that threw him through a frenzy. I mean, he was an Air Force guy, and he was just, you know, Air Force to his bones, and he was just like, we're not gonna do this, and threw around a bunch of swear words. And I was like, you know what, fine. I had met Amanda like the summer before. She'd come to a practice, and we immediately had chemistry on the field. I mean, you threw me like this amazing, I think it was like a seam or like a
wheel route.
And it came like right into my hands. It was like slow motion, just like a baby. And I was like, oh my God.
Just like a baby. Oh my God.
I remember being like, holy shit, that was perfect. That was a heat-seeking missile directly into my arms. So I called her and I was like, listen, we have chemistry on the field.
I'm like, listen,
I'm looking for a team.
And I'm like, are you serious?
I just graduated from college.
But are you really serious?
I'm ready to move to the East Coast. Me? Yeah.
What do I got to do?
I literally just packed up everything that I owned and put it in my car and drove 32 hours.
Yes. And
to the East Coast.
Got there the week of the game, the first game.
Yeah.
So would you say that coach was most influential in your career because it jump-started?
Yeah. That was most influential to me because it made me so fucking pissed that I was going to do everything in my power, in my control, to just be the best wide receiver that I could ever be, so that I could prove them wrong. So I know that there's always someone who, and there's a bunch of people who've influenced me or helped me throughout my career. Say like it's, you know, teaching me a technique or believing in me. I feel a lot of, you know, if someone believes in me, that gives me a lot of motivation. But if you believe that I can't do something, I'm going to fucking prove you wrong. And that's what I did. So
she did.
I remember driving back and I was just talking to my best friend T, and I was like, I'm going to make Team USA because they talked about it. The Falcons had talked about it. They were like, oh, you know, it's rigged because no one from the team made it. But I was sitting there like, I'm going to play these next years until the tryouts, and I'm going to make Team USA. And when I do, that'll be my, I stuck it to you. You know who you are.
Can't say the same. Can't say the same. I got cut.
Who is your
cut?
Who is your most inspirational?
The biggest influencer. there's no secret to her. The biggest influence is Allie Hamlin, who used to be the quarterback before me with the Divas for 14 seasons. She's up there with one of the greatest who have played the game in women's football. She has over 15,000 passing yards, over 200 passing touchdowns. And I spent my first 5 years in Philadelphia with the Firebirds of the IWFL. And in 2016, I came with the Divas. And, I'm this 5-year vet, actually 6 years at that point, coming in for my 6th season. And I think I have had success in Philly. But really, I was just like this raw, green quarterback. And, you're young. I'm young at the time, so I'm thinking like my shit doesn't stink. I'm thinking like I'm this athlete. I'm this badass. I'm all this because I was like the quarterback in the IWFL. Like I was like one of the top quarterbacks. But like when I came here, I never realized the importance of making checks at the line of scrimmage. I never realized the little details when it comes to reading defenses in terms of like how that leads to your success. I never realized how I carried myself as a leader in Philly and how that wasn't the right way to do it. So Allie, was, some people would told me before I even got to the team, when I was about to be on the team, that, she would view it as a threat and she would probably just block me out. And it couldn't have been further from the truth, where she was the best mentor I could have asked for from a leadership standpoint, and telling me, showing me the ropes, how to carry myself as a leader and as a quarterback of the team, and how to set the example. And then also just like reading defenses. Like I am not the quarterback I am today if I don't have her for 3 seasons. And really even now, like she will message me, will touch base, before games, and she provides like those little words. But yeah, super influential. I wouldn't be the quarterback I am if I didn't meet her. So best decision coming here, because that was the reason why I wanted to learn from a quarterback, have a mentor. So she was awesome. And now it's like I try to do that. Just remembering how she was with me, I try to do that to like Gabby on our team. Gabby's our backup quarterback, and she's she's like 23, 24. Great work ethic. Has questions, or like other quarterbacks from other teams who have questions. And I try to just provide as much help as I can, because that's how we grow the game, I think, in my opinion, is to develop the quarterback. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, we love Gabby. Gabby, we're gonna have you on this podcast.
We're gonna have you, Gabs.
She's one of the best.
Yeah. So so the influence was great there. And speaking of influential, I want to know. Perfect segue. I want to know how football has influenced your dating life. Give me that.
Yeah, well, it's definitely like a telltale, or whatever. It's a sign. It's a good sign if the person that you're dating is going to your games or your practices or tryouts or whatever. They're invested in your hobby. It's a hobby, but it's also a hobby where we have to pay to play, and we're putting our bodies on the line. And it's if you can rank it in the hierarchy of hobbies, it's probably one of the most intense, right? It takes over your summer. It's expensive. There's gear. There's hospital visits. I've broken my same pinky a couple times. I'm sick of it.
Not for me.
But so if in a dating life your significant other is invested in it, then it's something that I think is. If they're not, that's a big issue, and I married someone like that, and so I'm really sensitive to the fact that if someone is into it or not, then it makes a big difference. So I think if they're going to your games and they're invested and they like football, period, and they know the positions and they can help you practice and stuff, then yeah, I think there's a give and a take in relationships, and if that's a big give, and it's I'm also taking a lot of time in the relationship, so you have to be able to put up with that.
So you're currently dating somebody right now who's your fiance, Tab. Shout out to Tab, who's not a football player, and so I have like the opposite effect, where it's like I can't imagine dating somebody who's not in the football world, because it requires so much dedication, so much understanding. You know, if I were to meet somebody and it's completely foreign to them, and they, you know, like with your previous marriage, we can say that, marriage. Oh, I know it's sensitive, but take a drink, marriage. That's my biggest fear, especially seeing you go through it. It's just like, it's just so much easier to be able, and you know, if you don't know, if you're somebody who's not in women's football, I want to say 80% of us are not straight. So it's so much easier to become involved with somebody who you are with constantly 24/7 for 9 months out of the year. You do these bonding events, you do these after game events, practices, you hang out, you do, and so it's so much easier. And for me, football has affected my dating life from the standpoint where it's like I found myself in these long distance relationships, and we're rivals in some of them, and it's like where some of them is across the country, and it was just like, oh man, it's tough. And that though has had an effect on my communication, because those long distance relationships where you can't see each other every day, like if the only thing you have is like FaceTime or something like that, and occasionally, you know, you visit, stuff like that, it's just like, well, you better learn to communicate. You better learn what quality time actually means. It's not always just being together. It's, you know, it's hanging out. If it's, you know, you can still watch a movie, have a movie night, you know, you face it towards the screen, or you face it, whatever the case is. So it's like, you get creative. So it's really helped my communication. However, this year we're focused, and we're just going to be laser focused on football. My motto is tutties over titties.
You are way more patient than I am about long distance relationships. I've only done one, but I need to be able to see somebody and rub up on somebody.
Yeah, no, I don't want more.
I mean, I could do it, but it's an extra barrier for something that's not probably going to last, you know, anyway. Because if you think about it, 99% of all relationships end. Yeah. So unless you're going to marry that person, it's just another thing in the way to ironically crash and burn of a relationship.
True, but ironically, the distance wasn't what ended my relationships. You know, it was like, because my past 3 relationships were all long distance, every single one of them.
It's just, that's wild.
And it wasn't the distance that ended it. It was just the communication style. It was, you know, conflict resolution. It was some of that. It was some boundary breaking, stuff like that. It wasn't the distance. Like, it wasn't like, oh, this is too hard, I can't do this anymore, type of deal. But I feel like I have a lot of friends who also date other players and other teams, and, you know, it's a small community, women's tackle football. It feels like everybody knows everybody, and when somebody's in a relationship, everybody knows. And so, like, I try to keep my relationships, if I have a relationship with somebody else, you know, in football, I keep that to myself for the most part. And it's like, when you break up, people choose sides, you know?
Yeah, I feel like we're probably the exact opposite when it comes to relationships. I feel like you maybe seek out other football players, which makes sense because, you know, like, they know your lifestyle, they know your hobby, they know, you know, what it takes to play tackle football. And I mean, if you've been doing it for so long, it only makes sense. But I try to avoid relationships between teams or inter-team. I've done inter-team relationships so often, and, you know, just like messing around with other people on other teams, and I just feel like it always ends not okay. So,
well, I won't say that. I mean, there are teammates that, you know, play on the Divas that are married or engaged, and they've been together for 5 years.
Some people make it work. Yeah, but so not for me.
It's possible, and I don't seek out relationships from players. It's just easier for me to be open to that idea because they understand the lifestyle. Like, I can't explain enough how much the lifestyle affects relationships if you're not used to it.
Well, I've known you for a long time. Yeah. I've known you for a while, and I feel like the majority of the relationships that you have been in, or the situationships that you've been in, they have also been playing football. Yeah, I can only think of like 1 or 2 people that have been outside of football.
I can't even think of 1 or 2.
Right. So So there's
But-
that.
But I would say I'm on good terms with everybody. So it's not even like, oh, when you break up, it goes up in flames. So I feel like the moral of the story, I feel like football has had a big influence on the dating life. Yeah, football has
It
had
has.
a big influence on that. And whether you're so with somebody like you who's dating somebody who doesn't play football,
Yeah.
we're gonna play a game called Red Flag, Green Flag.
I'm ready for this.
And it's going to be a series of questions where somebody who you're dating who doesn't play football, we're going to ask those questions and we're going to say if it's a red flag or green flag. And we're going to put these flags up.
I made these by hand
These are some
because
handmade
we didn't have any.
personal flags. And it's like, it is almost the Italian flag. Like you got red and you got, we just need, was it white?
Yeah, I was gonna cut them in
Or is
squares, but it just made sense to make
Or
them
is it
pointy.
the Mexican flag? That if the Mexican flag, it looks like
No, that has like.
Italian.
I mean, maybe this is.
All right. So here we go. We're going to go over a series of questions of red flag, green flag. All right. First question.
I'm ready.
When she invites herself to the after party after the game, red flag, green flag.
I mean, it depends on how long you're dating.
Put the flag up.
Because I would say yes if you're gonna be like,
Okay.
because I mean, you're trying to like mess around at the, you know what I mean? So like, if you haven't been dating for a long time and you're like, hey, there's gonna be a party after, like I'll see you tomorrow, and she's like, no, I'm gonna go. It's a red flag.
I'm going to tell you
But
why
if
it's a
you're
red
in a
flag.
relationship,
I'm gonna
then
tell
yes,
you-
it's because I'm not trying to mess around with anybody
I'm going
else.
to tell you why it's a red flag because say if we had been together for however long, I'll entertain your idea. She wouldn't have to invite herself. It would be like an unspoken thing, whether she always goes or not.
Well,
Like,
that's,
hey,
that's what
you
inviting
coming
yourself
after-
is. That she just
Right,
goes.
she wouldn't have to invite herself.
Oh.
Right? So if she invites herself without you guys really discussing, like, you gonna come or not? Red flag.
I just like the women who take initiative. You know what I mean? Like, let me know that you want to come.
Let me know you want
invite
to
yourself.
stalk me. Let me know you want to be around me 24/7. All right, next question. If she roots for her bestie on the opposite team,
Is it over you? Like she's
it's just her rooting.
rooting-
Like you can hear her root for her bestie on the other team.
okay. I mean, that's a green flag.
It's a green flag.
Besties are, you know what I mean? They're,
You're loyal.
They're solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say green.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you constantly hear her scream the name for somebody else on your team,
Oh, that's a red flag.
that's a red flag.
Because why are you trying to smash the other person on the team?
If I can only hear, like, say if you know my team, you're around my team, right? You're very, you're very involved with my team. But if I can only hear you yell Lexi and you don't yell go Amanda, red flag, and I'm putting you in timeout when we get home. That's how I feel.
Wow. Yeah. It's definitely a red flag.
Red flag.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
There's
about.
just, football teams are just too incestual. And I just feel like sometimes we pass around girlfriends. And so if they're rooting for someone else, it's just, inevitable that they're going to be talking to someone else at the after party.
She has
Next question.
interesting.
I just
interesting
have
viewpoint.
PTSD from.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
Anyway.
damaged still. Okay. If they leave early because it's cold.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, are you a little bitch or not?
Like I said
I'm about
earlier,
to play 4 hours in the fucking cold, and you're just sitting there on the bench, and you're gonna go home.
You have
Bring
a
a
jacket.
blanket.
You have
Bring
You have a hat you could wear. You have some gloves, a mitten, a scarf.
At this point, if we're like dating, we're in this together. So you
yeah.
gotta figure it out.
and if
Bring
it'll
some hand
be worse
warmers.
if you don't tell me you're leaving and you just up and leave.
Yeah, then over. It's probably over.
It's probably over.
Yeah,
Cutting you. That's why you gotta put.
you can sit in your car for a little bit,
You could,
halftime.
at
You
halftime.
warm up,
Warm your feet
or
up.
just like go back and forth.
If I gotta
but
go through
don't
it, you
just
gotta
leave.
go through it. Exactly. If they ask which one you are 5 times.
You should know by my butt. If we're dating, you should know which one I am just based
In
on how
uniform,
my
right?
butt looks in my pants.
Yeah.
So figure that out.
You should. And that's also a red flag for me because I'm the quarterback. So if you keep asking which one I am and I have the ball in my hand every fucking play, that's a problem.
I usually have orange cleats, so if you can't figure it out, you're colorblind or something. So
Yeah. We got problems. If they spend the game making TikToks, but you're in it.
Say that's a green
I'm gonna
flag.
give you
Yeah,
a
that's
green
a
flag.
green.
If you're trying to represent me on your
Right.
social media
Yeah.
and you're
I
not
like social.
hiding me and you want to get me exposure on your TikTok, but I hope
Right.
you have a lot of followers.
That's
then it
just
may be a red flag.
yeah. That's
But
having confidence in your relationship. I think that's a green flag.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like
Represent
that.
me.
Show you off. You know,
If they boo the ref louder than your coach,
that's a green flag for
That's a
me.
green flag.
If you fucking love football that much, yes.
you love football that much, and even if you're wrong, even if the ref was right, you still get a green flag. I'm
Yeah.
like, babe, yes.
It's all about enthusiasm. A for effort.
That's support right there. That's support no matter what.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about how wrong you are when we get home. But for now,
Then we'll talk about the rules later.
yeah, we'll talk about the rules later. All right. If they only watch when you have the ball,
You don't have to love football.
yeah, I'll give you a green flag.
100%. But
No.
you're there to support. So
As
yeah.
long as you can tell me how well I played or what I did in the game, if you can give me a summary, I don't care if you know what the defense did
Yeah.
in the game.
I don't even watch defense.
Yeah.
So
So that's fine. You can
Yeah.
only watch me. If you watch somebody else, that's a problem.
wait,
All right.
what's okay? Sorry.
We got 2 more questions. If they call every run play boring,
Yeah, I mean,
green flag.
we're not playing rugby. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
green flag.
yeah.
Because every run play is boring.
It's boring.
Naturally.
Especially if it's like up the middle and they get a yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Switch it up.
Like, you don't
know?
really hear the
Run a fly.
crowd go crazy. Like, there's only so many wow plays you can do as a run play. Like, if you're somebody who is a big back and you're powerful, sure, like, you're going to wow the crowd. But really, the biggest receptions you get, like, is a long pass down the
Right.
field.
And
You
that
know?
just feels so good. You
Or
know
a
what
good
I mean?
scramble on the backfield
Yeah.
and then a long pass.
Yeah.
You know,
And you
gotta
hear
get
the crowd.
in it. Yeah.
The crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
All right. When they yell, just go for it every 4th and long.
I'm going to say yes because you know what I mean? You got to have some balls
We
sometimes.
don't punt around here. Lex, we don't punt. We're offensive
We
players.
don't punt, yeah.
We believe if she
I mean, I'm a long
believes,
snapper, so I'm okay with it.
we
but
believe.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
you don't want
you
a
got to
long
have
snap.
faith sometimes.
Yeah, we're
you know
going to
what
go
I mean?
for it.
Sometimes you just, it's chess. And if you don't risk anything,
There's no
you
reward.
don't, you just don't get very far. So,
It's 4th and 25. You know what we can get? We can get a post wheel combo.
right.
Okay? What defense are they going to
Like,
be
do you
in?
have faith in your offense or not? You
Are
know
the
what I mean?
safeties going to
So-
cover the boundaries? Or are they going to cover the middle of the field for the post routes? Which one is it?
Right. I agree.
So that was our segment of red flag, green flag, and that is going to be a regular segment. So tune in for those because we have way more funny, juicy, red flag, green flag questions. Now, I want to know, as we wrap this up, I want to know what is your outlook on the season? Like, what are your expectations? Who are you looking forward to playing, whether that be a specific player or a specific team? Like, what's your outlook?
I mean, I'm excited to play the Mambas because we haven't played them before. And the new teams in Atlanta, the
The truth.
Truth.
Get it together. Like,
say the Wise.
the
The
wise, the truth.
I'm excited to play Atlanta Truth, but I feel like that I've had a couple teammates in the past who have bounced around to other teams, and I'm excited to play them on the other side of the ball just to know what it's like. I mean, some of them obviously play offense, so I won't be able to play against them, but I haven't been able to watch them play for a while. So seeing someone from the past who has done things or overcome something or whatever is always good to see on the field again, especially if they've played with you on Team USA or something. So
What are your expectations?
I think that we're about to run the fucking board. I think that we're
I
about
like
to
the confidence.
I think that we're about to just show people what we've been working on. We've been putting in a lot of work. I mean, you got to have confidence though, because no one else is going to have confidence for you. So you might as well just take it to the nth degree,
You do that, girl.
F it.
Yeah, so my expectations, I definitely, now that Boston, I really wish Boston was playing. We lost them by 7 in playoffs, and that was a really good game, and I just feel like, that was about to be the turning of the tide, with our rivalry. But, now we got Pittsburgh, and Philly came back into our league, the Phantoms, so that's going to be a good home and away game. Get to go back home. Shout out to my Philly people. My expectations is it's going to come down to Pittsburgh. I mean, very bluntly, very clear. It's going to come down to Pittsburgh and us. And we're going to play them in the regular season. We're going to play them in the playoffs. And that's going to be for the East Coast, championship to get to the actual championship. I like our additions we have this year. We have new additions on the defensive side of the ball, which I really think will help us a lot. And I'm just super excited and optimistic, and I really feel like we have a chance to represent the East in the championship. So my goal is to win it all. It's been a minute. It's time to get DC back on the map. You heard it here first. DC's about to get back on the map.
I think we both have really exciting seasons ahead of us.
Yeah.
But the number one question for the end of the season for the National Football League is who's going to win tomorrow for the Super Bowl?
Eagles. It's not
So
even.
I haven't dressed for this occasion, but
Wow.
I think that we all know who the
You
legendary team.
Traitor.
We all know who the legendary quarterback,
That doesn't matter.
And now the GOAT is. I mean,
He's not the GOAT yet.
it's looking very good. So
Looking very goaty.
I wish
Is
that
it?
your team does well, but
Are you rooting against
they're
us?
not going to win.
Is this
So-
going to put a friction on our relationship? Just tell me. So we're not going to talk all day tomorrow. But when we
I
when
don't
we
talk
beat
shit
you,
though.
when we
you,
beat
you talk a lot of shit when it comes
I
to
sure do.
when it comes to the NFL. But I don't really talk shit. I just let
Tomorrow.
the game talk the shit.
When we
know
beat
what I
you,
mean? We'll see.
then
We should make bets though.
I'm gonna send you just a text of a bird. That's it. Nothing else. I'll be very nice with it. It's less than what I'm gonna do for other people who have been talking a lot of shit.
We'll see.
But yeah, Bird Gang. I'm gonna say we win by 8 or more.
Yeah, we'll see.
Go Eagles. Go Birds.
So that's it for this episode of the Peach Pod. Subscribe, like, and share so that we can get our word out and promote women's tackle football or women's sports in general. We're always sponsored by Protagonist Apparel, owned by a female athlete. If you want, check out that website at www.protagonistapparel.com. It's protagonist with a Y. Until next time, keep your pads low and your game high.
This is just two peaches in a pod signing off.